the Obama administration does that sheds a negative light on them. And without the media driving the masses don't know much. And so one of the good things about Obama is we wouldn't be sitting here if we didn't have Obama. We were slowly being cooked to death by the likes of George W. Bush, nice guy, but you know, he was no conservative. He spent a lot, he was spending money like a drunk sailor out of the federal budget on all sorts of nonsense. And he wanted people to like him, and that's one of the hazards. You know, you want people to like you. Conservatives, we don't care if you don't like us. We really don't. Liberals are all concerned that, oh, other countries don't like us, and other people don't like us. I don't really care if you don't like me. Life's too short. I'm gonna do what I think is right, and if you don't like me, go pound sand. And if you're a true American, you should have an American flag outside of your house to let people know that you really don't care what people think. Because to fly the American flag now, today is the exception. And if you're really a conservative, fly the Texas flag. And if you really want to get them going, put the rebel flag up. Oh, you'll see one flying by my house, a big 4-foot by 6-foot flag. And it keeps the revenuers away, as we say, and the solicitors. But yeah, the media basically, and he's golden. They're not going to attack him. They're not going to cover the story. I've got one quick story I'll tell you about this. Remember when we had Gitmo under Bush? Every day, evil, evil, evil place. Well, where are the new detainees going? Obama doesn't put them in Gitmo. He puts them in Bagram Air Force Base, which we just built with your tax dollars, millions of dollars. And there's a case in 2009 where some of the ACLU lawyers went into federal court and district court and said, look, the Supreme Court ruled in 2008 that everybody in Gitmo gets to have a federal judge to review their status to make sure you're an enemy combatant. If you're in Gitmo, you get it. And so their beef was that, look, Obama's putting the new detainees in the Obama facility in Afghanistan and not giving them a federal judge. And they said this violates the Supreme Court case in 2008. The district court agreed and said, Obama, you can't do that. They're all basically jihadist Al-Qaeda members, Taliban, and associated forces. You've got to give them a federal judge to review their status from DC. Obama said, I'm not going to do it. The district judge said, you must do it. He appealed to the DC Circuit. The DC Circuit said, no, if Obama puts you in the NICE facility in Afghanistan, you don't get a judge. He can lock you up without a judge, without a lawyer, without charging you with a crime. Under the law of war, you can detain enemy combatants. Now, you've never heard about that. But if McCain would have won the election and pulled that, every day you would hear, oh, you're shutting the Constitution. You're in-running the Supreme Court. How dare you put them in that facility? They should be going to Gitmo. But you never hear about it because they protect him. Many other examples. Yes?
Is the Constitution taught in law schools today? If so, is it taught in depth?
It depends on who's teaching it. I teach con-crim law. I've taught it in the past. And of course, most law professors do not believe in the death penalty, and they have their own worldview. As Thomas Jefferson once said, where you stand on an issue depends on where you sit. So they come in with a worldview. For our Supreme Court, you tell me the issue, and you know, anybody with half a brain can tell you which way the split's going to be before they even do it. Well, if it's really the law, why is it so predictable? Because they have their own worldview, and it influences how they do and how they think. Most law professors are liberals. There's no doubt about it. I teach a class in national security. I started out the class with 12 students. Today, they can't get a room big enough to hold the class, literally. Because the students get it. That they like the breath of fresh air, and I've got tenure.
Thomas Jefferson said the Supreme Court is not the final judge of its own power. The Constitution is. What role should the states play in overturning rulings of the court?
Well, also, it's not just the Constitution, but above that is God himself. Because our founders, when we wrote the letter, the Declaration of Independence, we said these are inalienable rights. No piece of paper, no judge is going to tell us what our absolute God-given rights are. And that's where I start. So Tom didn't quite get it right, but Tom was a genius. In fact, I'll tell you my favorite Thomas Jefferson story as told by President Kennedy. You might have heard this, but it's kind of funny. President Kennedy was giving a speech to a bunch of distinguished jurists, big room of them, at the White House. And he said, you know, there hasn't been such a collective gathering of intellect in one room since Thomas Jefferson dined alone. But yeah, there's a role, I mean, but people have to stand up. As I said, with moderate Republicans, we were being slowly roasted. At least with Obama, the fire was boiling and we jumped out immediately and rose up and said, not going to happen. And we need to keep that spirit in the next election, there's no doubt about it. One of the greatest consequences is the 2006, in 2006, the Senate changed hands to the Democrats. Now, in the military, if you want to be promoted from a colonel to a 1-star, 1-star to 2-star, 2-star to 3-star, the board will meet and recommend you for promotion, but you don't pin it on until the Senate approves your promotion. We haven't had a good red-blooded American general, in my opinion, since 2006 that has been promoted. Because if you don't sing their song, they will not promote you. That's why when Obama got rid of the don't ask, don't tell, not a single general stood up and said, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Because they're weasels. They all want to get promoted, and you've got to sing their song, or they will not promote you. And if you dare speak out, Obama will sack you, he'll silence you, he'll get rid of you. That's why I was trying these murder cases against these soldiers. We had a 2-star general that wanted to be a 3-star. And in 2006, he was listening to the winds. The Democrats took the Senate, and he heard the Democrats saying that our soldiers are killing people. So he decided, I'll just prosecute some of our own soldiers, so when I go up before the Senate, I can say, I'm prosecuting my own soldiers, and I'm prosecuting the enemy. I'm singing your song. And that's what this, I almost used a bad word, person did. At the sacrifice, 2 Green Beret soldiers shot and killed a Taliban leader that was going to conduct a suicide attack. The CID went in and said, yes, this is the right guy. The Associated Press got a hold of the story because the Taliban went to the press and said, the Green Berets have killed our village elder, which is a lie. They printed it in the newspaper. This general read the story without any, and he was told that, no, this is the right guy we killed. He still charged him with murder, put him in handcuffs, brought him back to Fort Bragg. They had to hire lawyers to represent them. I represented them without charge. It cost our center over $20,000 a piece to represent people. And all charges were dropped. Once I explained to them that this is called warfare, and it's a good kill, you idiots. But that's why this guy did it. And he got promoted to 3-star. But later, on the front page of the Washington Times, I went after him for unlawful command influence, and that star was taken back away from him, and he retired as a 2-star. But that's what these weasels do. They care more about their own power lust and approbation lust than they do for this great country, and they're turning them out. We've got to take the Senate back, so at least we can have generals that look out for the interests of the people and the troops and not themselves. So anyway, that's yeah, we've got to do something. Hell yeah, we got to do something.
What's the type of foreign policy should we have, and how do we fight ISIS?
Yeah, the type of foreign policy we have is Teddy Roosevelt. You walk softly and carry a big stick. When I go to sleep at night, I don't worry about the French attacking us or the British attacking us. They have nuclear weapons. I worry about the totalitarian regimes that have nuclear weapons. So Teddy said, look, walk softly. In other words, if you're an ally, we can talk to you. We got a dispute, we'll settle it. But if you're not an ally, I carry a big stick. So with Iran, if we had a president that had any intelligence whatsoever, you put an envelope, you get an envelope, you put a bullet in it, you send it to the mullahs and say, bite this, you got 30 days to close it down. That's how you deal with these people. Because they either get the bomb or we bomb them. There is no alternative. You're not going to negotiate your way with these murderers. Not going to happen. And the only thing they respect is, we got too many ladies in this room, is a blank whipping. That's what they respect. And every 5 years, you've got to thump somebody. That's just the way it is. You've got to go out there and crush somebody so the rest of the bullies in the world scene, they understand that do not mess with us. We have a golden opportunity right now to just devastate the ISIS people. We blow them away with everything we've got, short of nuclear weapons, and just bombard those SOBs. And the rest of the world will get the message. Benghazi is another disaster for this administration. They say, well, we couldn't get anybody there in time to help them. We could have gotten somebody with a Greyhound bus there in time. All we had to do is get the air assets to come in and give them the order to kill everything, level every building within 4 blocks of the embassy and the annex. Kill them all. Oh, but you might kill some women and children. You think? Yeah. Oh, well, it's called war. And when these people attack our embassies, we level everything. When they cut the head off of an American citizen, we retaliate and kill 50,000 of them. That's what we do. And in a bygone generation, when Teddy Roosevelt understood those concepts, we would do it. He sent the Great White Fleet around the world to show the world that, hey, we're here and we're heavily armed. Do not mess with us.
With all due respect, I respect your opinion of the women in this room, but we are all on the same page. Had to make that clear.
Yes, ma'am.
How do we protect ourselves from Islamic terror when our government refuses to acknowledge its existence inside America?
Well, again, it's standing up and talk. Our Center for Terrorism Law, I had a fellow from Iran that I just invited to come speak, and he converted to Christianity by finding a Bible in Farsi in Iran, read it, and became a Christian. He got his best friend to read it, he became a Christian. His best friend's sister became a Christian. He married her, they sentenced him to death, and he got out. He's at Texas A&M now. I had him come speak at our Center for Terrorism Law. I got threats from the CARE organization out of Washington, D.C., so they watch me, they know who I am. And I basically told him to go to hell and hung up on him. And then I called him back and said, look, why don't you guys send somebody down to my center? I'll pay your airfare. You tell us how to fight radical Islam. They don't want to do that. So you got to stand up and look them in the eye. Whatever your sphere of influence is, you know, in the community, in the marketplace, in academia, and tell them what to do with it. And that's what I do. And so I'm doing my own little part here. And so whatever doors the good Lord opens up to you, just, you know, go through that door and look them in the eye. They can only kill you one time. What was that Shakespeare said that a coward dies 1,000 times, right? But we're only going to die once. And I'm not going alone. I'm going to take a couple of them with me if I ever do.
Okay, this has been asked for clarification of the previous question. What can states legally do to exercise corrective authority over unconstitutional rulings of the Supreme Court?
Secede. That's one thing. We have the inherent right to secede. Remember, Governor Perry was, what, 30 points behind Kay Bailey when he was running for governor that last time? And he gave a secession speech and he was 30 points ahead. I mean, people respond to that. We could do the Constitutional Convention and get the states together to do this and do that. Well, that's fine. You can do all that, but just, have a huge march and say, we're seceding. I mean, that would stir them up. I've always, I just go big. Go big. We have the right. And we can have that debate. But yeah, do something. But yeah, there are mechanisms within the Constitution for the states to come together to do things, but you got to get enough states to come together. People don't really move until we have a major traumatic event. Something big is going to have to motivate that type of a movement. And Obama motivated us when he was elected, but something bigger is going to have to come. I wrote a book for the War College, Chapter 8, published in 2000, where I predicted in bold print Al-Qaeda was going to attack us. And we will have an event in this country where you will open the paper one day and it will say, Chicago gone, New York gone. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. You've got the people that want to kill. You've got the weapons of mass destruction. I don't mean little pipe bombs. I mean the big stuff. And you put two and two together with a jihadist that doesn't care about dying. In fact, they embrace death. It's simply a matter of time. We can push that event down the road with, better leadership and more vibrant matters associated with anti-terrorism. Anti-terrorism means you stop before they get to the airport. I like to stop before they get to the airport, before they get to the Boston Marathon. But many Americans have hit the slumber button and the alarm clock. The Boston Marathon attack, those guys set those satchels, those backpacks down in a crowded area. Nobody said anything. Nobody. And boom, they went off. So it's situational awareness. We're going to need a big event that's going to shake the country before anything will be done, quite honestly. Because as Francis Tytzer once said, that what collapses most great nations is they flunk the prosperity test. They get apathetic. We were a very vibrant people early on in our history because we were cutting our teeth on hostile Indians. You're plowing one hand, and the Comanche around here were vicious. They caught you out in the open, good luck. They weren't this benign little, we're contemplating the universe, counting flowers. Oh, no. So it made tough people, which we can thank those folks for that. And the greatest generation that came out, that fought World War II, they came out of the tough, hard times of the Great Depression. They realized the value of a dollar. Today, people go out and buy $200 tennis shoes, and they don't want to work. And when I was going to the Pentagon, I got a lot of medals in the military, and I used to wear your Class A uniform, and I'd be pumping gas, and this guy would come up, hey man, can you help me out? And I would look at these fellows, and I'd say, buddy, I help you out every day of your life. I've given you a free country to live in. Get a damn job. So, I hope that answers the question.
Why did not we force Iraq to adopt a U.S.-style constitution like Japan in World War II to eliminate the theocracy of Islam and its lack of human rights?
Well, I don't think it could have been done. The Nazis, the Nazi party was small, but it had great influence on the German people. The German people had the same frame of reference as we did. They understood freedom of religion, freedom of press, freedom of speech. The Middle East, they don't get that idea. We had a fellow that converted from Islam to Christianity in Afghanistan under the Karzai government. They sentenced him to death. There's your Middle East. You say anything negative about the Quran or Islam in most Middle Eastern countries, you're dead. They don't think like you think. And I'm sorry that your country's a basket case, but my advice to any country that's a basket case, pick up your guns, those of you that understand these concepts, and do something about it. So, but in Iraq, it's true. We were in the fourth quarter of the football game. We were 2 touchdowns ahead. Iraq's not going to be turned into a stable Western-style democracy, but they could have been a great ally for us. And yet President Obama, because of politics, said, oh, I'll just pull all the players off the field and see what happens. And of course, anybody can predict the country's going to spiral into chaos. Al-Qaeda would come back. The manifestation now is ISIS, and the place would fall apart. And yet somehow Obama, came up with this nonsense that we've left a stable Iraq, et cetera, et cetera. He did it all for politics because of the election coming up. So when we should have stayed, which is Iraq, he leaves. When we should have left in Afghanistan, he stays. So right now the Kurds, I would put everything I have on the Kurds. You find people that like you and reward them. People that hate you, you don't reward them. That's the foreign policy.
Is it possible to get what you said on audio or CD?
I think we just did.
Yeah,
For those of you that may be new, this is being videoed, and if you go to our website, you can pull it up and watch it at your convenience at home. I would encourage you to reach out to your friends, anyone that isn't able to come. Tell them to go to the website. They can view any and all of these. They're always being videoed.
Now we do have a
live on Ustream too.
We do. Oh, I'm sorry, live on the, okay. I want to say in defense of our law school, we do have a new dean, Dean Shepard, who's from Mississippi, a great American. He sees the value of what we're doing here at our center because I'm about constructive criticism. Nothing personal about President Obama. I lit into President Bush when President Bush was in office. But that's my military mindset. You tell the boss is wrong, and then you tell him how to fix it. You want to close Gitmo within 1 year, Mr. President? We can do that. You get the transport planes in here, fly them to the nice Obama facility in Afghanistan, and let the Afghan justice system matriculate these people. You can deal with things, you can solve things, but when you say something, you've got to do it. It makes our country look weak. You say you're going to close it in 1 year, I disagree with that, but we can make it happen. Because the whole idea about wanting to close Gitmo implies that we did something wrong. It's true, if I was the president, I would announce on my first day of office, I'm building another wing onto Gitmo today. We have nothing to apologize for. They incinerated 3,000 people. They made war against us. We need to devastate these people. That's all they understand. That's how you deal with them in the short term. And ISIS is a golden opportunity for us to really show the world what we're about. They are truly evil. They're out in the open. There's 10, 20, 30,000 of them, and we can obliterate them. They're not hiding amongst women and children. And if we kill a few women and children, the law of war allows that. That's called collateral damage, and that's just the way it goes.
I hope I have this one right. Would you consider being our Attorney General?
I get people that say, well, would you run for this office and run for that office? I always tell them my political platform would be, I'll lower your taxes. Other than that, that's about it. Get a job. And try not to bother me because I'm going to spend most of my time in Bernie, Texas, working out in the fields here and there. Because the government that governs least governs best. So I'm not going to promise you anything. And then my opponent will promise them everything. And of course, when people discover they can vote themselves money out of the public treasury, it's all over. So the people we have today is, In the old days, you shook somebody's hand, and that was it. You didn't try to weasel out of it. And if you made a bad deal, you ate peanut butter sandwiches for 20 years. Today, we have 1 million+ lawyers, and they're all litigious and running around with each other and trying to get the upper hand and all sorts of nonsense. Virtue is absent from the people. Robert E. Lee once said that the nation will collapse when virtue is absent from the people. Virtue means doing the right thing in the right way. That's it. If you're a capitalist with virtue, you don't need a union. You will take better care of your employees than any union ever could. The reason we had the rise of unions, we had capitalists with no virtue. So people see a capitalist like Enron with no virtue, and they automatically assume that socialism is the answer, big government is the answer. Big government is inherently evil. We got bad capitalists here and there. You put a stake in their heart, and don't give them a white-collar prison. You put them in jail with Bubba, is where they go. Yes, sir.
The Americans that are going to fight for ISIS, what do you think should be done to them? What do you predict will happen with the current administration? And how can we keep the focus on them?
Most of the Americans that are going to fight for ISIS are going to end up dead. These guys are not that proficient in their skills, and the jihadists that are raised here in the luxury of this society, when they get over there, they're seeing a whole new system of lifestyle. Indoor plumbing, MTV, all the luxuries they took for granted. They're getting a rude awakening, many of them. Now, I'll put out a little video here and there, but many of them, as you know, are turning up dead. So if we capture one, of course, we charge them with treason, and we try that person, and hopefully they'll get the death penalty. If you want to get on our propaganda mailing list, our center puts out a monthly newsletter of all the stuff that we're doing. Just give me your email, write it on a piece of paper. I'll put you on our list. It's easy to get off, but I think the conferences that we hold are all free and open, to the public. They're free of charge, and we have interesting people show up, both pro and con. And so, if you know any really rich people, also, as I said, these cases that we try, it costs about $20,000 a pop to represent these soldiers. And we're a 501c3. I know you guys don't fall in that category, but you might know somebody that's a true American, has lots of money, and wants to know where the money is going and for what cause. We can certainly tell them exactly what we do with every dime. And we don't charge soldiers to represent them, and they don't have any money. That's why they're in the Army. Okay, well, I guess I've taken up all y'all's time. Thank you for what you do. Keep at it. Never surrender.
Professor Addicott, thank you so much. That was, we appreciate your brilliance and your excellent communication skills. We so thank you for coming. Okay, couple reminders. Biff,